Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Adapting With. Today we're speaking with Shannon Baker, President of Gatesman Agency. Shannon, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So who is Shannon Baker? I feel like I hold on to little trinkets of treasures that people give me all the time. And on days where I'm feeling particularly low, especially in the wake of pandemic, I'm like, this, if you can see what this is, this is Khaleesi, Game of Thrones. I feel like there are days where I am her, and there are days where I need to channel her, just riding dragons, fighting White Walkers, whatever comes my way. But the truth is, I'm married to a software engineer, so our dinner conversations are really interesting, two worlds colliding. I'm a mom of two incredible little kids who are chaos and will likely join this meeting at some point. I'm a coach. I coach basketball. And then, my day job is working as president of Gatesman.
Wonderful. And how long have you been president of Gatesman?
So I have been president of Gatesman for what is going on my fourth year. I've been with Gatesman for 12 years in total. Lucky number 13 is coming up. So prior to being in the role of president, I was responsible for public relations and social media. So I have the great privilege now in this role of really focusing on building teams and playing into my strength as a coach, making sure that we are cultivating our talent, making sure that I am that soundboard for our leaders and the challenges that they're navigating, as well as our clients. And then I'm also driving the force that is our new business machine. I'm focused on operations and financial management. So those are my on-the-job responsibilities.
And did you ever see yourself being in that role as president and handling all those responsibilities? Is that something you kind of grew into, or an opportunity just presented yourself and you're like, yeah, I want to do that?
I'm a big believer in playing to people's strengths versus weaknesses. And so we do a lot of strength finder type tests with our team members. Two of my biggest strengths are I am an achiever and I'm a maximizer. So what does that mean? It means I'm very, very competitive. It means I'm opinionated. It means I'm a pusher. And I'm a courage chaser. And so for me, I've always been very, very goal oriented and of this mindset that was probably established by my upbringing, but also my athleticism and playing collegiate sports of, I could try that. I could do that. When I was in college, I never thought that I would be in the advertising industry. I set out in international relations. I thought I was going to work more in the government entities. So this was never a part of sort of that imaginary plan that you think you're going to set off on when you graduate college. But I started in journalism, moved from journalism into PR. From PR, I achieved a lot of really great things with an incredible team. And John Gatesman came to me at a certain point in my career and said, do you think you could replicate the success that you've built for our PR practice across the entire agency? And I said, yeah, I'm up for that challenge. So that's how that came to be.
How has that leadership role for you changed in the midst of a pandemic?
Yeah, it's been unbelievable the past year. And I think nobody could have ever prepared for it. But I will say that as an agency, I think the timing, we had made a lot of shifts in who we were as a company, what we specialized in, the industries that we represented. And as a result, it enabled our client base to be a lot more diversified than it ever historically was. It enabled us to pivot from doing kind of set it and forget it advertising campaigns into areas of marketing intelligence, strategic communications, crisis communications. And it created a new value proposition for us as a company with existing clients and even from a new business perspective. So that helped us as COVID started to unfold. But immediately when things started shutting down, my head immediately went to our people. And, that is a tremendous responsibility that I take very, very seriously. And that is what's going to happen to our people. How do we preserve, people's jobs? How do we preserve the integrity of of what it is that they provide to our company, and how do we protect their families? Because it's not just a single employee. We know our people on a personal level. So their kids, their spouses, we did a lot of things immediately by way of focusing on how do we stabilize and retain our books of business, controlling our expenses, and frankly doing that ruthlessly. If we don't need it, let's get rid of it. If it's non-essential, let's get rid of it. Let's reserve our cash flow. And there were some realities in terms of my interpretation of what a good leader was. And then I'd be in these meetings and, my kids would come crashing in, and all of these things that I had really successfully compartmentalized, people were now exposed to, right? And they saw this other side of my life, right? And it made me also reflect of how multidimensional our people were. That was one thing that changed in my leadership style, was kind of revealing a little bit more of myself to our team members and allowing them to see and to feel how hard everything was in the past year and a half.
Kind of talked about this a little bit in your statement there, but how did you balance that kind of realization of, okay, we have to protect our people, and yeah, we can be a little more transparent about our lives outside as it's affecting everyone the same. Like, how did you balance that through your leadership and communication style?
As it related to, things like how do we stabilize and retain our business, getting on the phone immediately with our clients and having conversations about the pivots that we needed to make and some of the anticipation and some of the services that we could provide that perhaps they weren't taking advantage of, like issues management, crisis communications, really focusing in less on the executional side of work, delivering, content or doing digital ads, and focused more on that upstream strategy work and helping them to figure out communications to their employee base as well as consumers.
But how did you also virtually maintain kind of the culture you're trying to cultivate at the agency?
Yeah, that's hard. That is not easy. If you've got any tips, send them my way.
I wish I had some.
So, we did the things that I think a lot of companies did, which was everything moved into sort of these Zoom video meetings. But we also did the things like online trivia games. We would do the incredibly awkward happy hours. We learned really, really fast, unless that is some sort of theme or there's a game or a battle taking place. Those were just painful otherwise to do. We do a lot of employee recognition with, we call them U Rocks, but it's just making sure that you create time and you create space for that human connection.
What's been your policy before the pandemic as far as working from home and office work, and how has that changed prospectively as well as, moving forward in the future?
So I hear a lot of my peers, and I hear a lot of companies, we see it in the news, talking about, they can't wait to return to normal. What parts of normal are worth going back to? And what parts of normal do we want to leave in the past and look forward? And I got to be honest, what was sort of the status quo, what agency life was all about, really isn't worth going back to. Shamefully, there's not a lot of good there as it relates to mental health, as it relates to diversity, equality, and inclusion. There are some shining moments, but overall, I feel like those things needed an overhaul. And so for us, previously, we had once you had a 1-year tenure within the agency, you were allowed 1 day work from home. Going forward, our offices are open right now, both in Chicago and in Pittsburgh, but not a lot of people go in. So what we are doing going forward is, beginning in September, we are having a call back and asking people to return to the offices. That return is only going to be a requirement of 2 days. And those 2 days are really focused on building that connectivity again and that chemistry again, and having more of a social interaction than it is for having meetings. Be focused on really being parent and caretaker friendly and giving people the opportunity to live their lives outside of work. Last year taught me, rip up the damn 5-year plan and throw it out the window, because who the hell knows what we're going to be faced with next. So A big mantra that I have personally is progress, not perfection. And so everybody on Team Gatesman hears that all the time. Our focus is on progress, and our focus is on every single day working towards being a better agency. Our agency has changed so much since it was founded in 2006. And it's because we've added these new layers of people onto it from the outside perspectives of what is historically a traditional ad agency. So I think that curiosity is one of the biggest things that makes Gatesman different. Is we're not holding on to the past, and people that want to do that typically find their way out. We are embracing the future and stepping forward courageously towards that without, knowing exactly what it means.
Knowing that the last year hasn't really been ideal for most people, and obviously there's individuals that have it worse than others. But from your perspective, what is a positive thing? It can be personally or not, that was like a positive thing for you.
Yeah, I think one of the positives that came out for the past year for me was being able to get back to hobbies, being able to find new hobbies. So I started exercising again, and now that's been something that's been really good for me. I tried meditation, I tried yoga, I tried all these things. Having that time and creating space for myself, and I never used to do that before. Everybody talks about balance. Balance doesn't exist. I mean, that's BS. I feel like everybody wants to chase that. They want to chase balance. My own personal belief, I could get slaughtered for saying this, but I feel like anybody who says they've found balance is so BS. No, you haven't. You're not being honest with yourself, and it's doing a disservice to people that are watching you and following you. I think it's just about priorities, right? You have to figure out, okay, what are my 3 biggest priorities for today? Because I can't. Some days, your kids are going to need you more, and you're not going to be able to take that late day meeting. Other days, your teammates are going to need you more, and you're going to have to put in the effort there. So I think it's just more about finding the priorities. It doesn't matter how much news coverage is out there about women leaving the workforce in droves because they can't be the teacher, the disciplinarian, the chef, the career woman. They can't be all of these things to the level that was demanded of them during COVID. It was just too much. A single person can't do all of those things. And so it was annoying to me when you'd read stories about whether it was a company or whether it was an individual leader, not recognizing that. That bothers me. I guess that would be one of the things that really upsets me, is the unwillingness to change, the unwillingness to be flexible, the unwillingness to recognize times have changed. The workforce has changed. So we need to change along with it as leaders.
That's something you could touch on. Is there any advice you have for the job seekers? Because obviously with layoffs and stuff like that, there's more out there. What's your opinion or advice to job seekers right now?
I feel like it is a job seekers market right now. And so it's really hard to recruit talent because, again, there's a lot of companies. I feel like Gatesman, I feel like we've really evolved and we've put a lot of things in place to meet today's realities. But nonetheless, with working from home, we're facing competition that we never used to face by way of people that are being recruited away, or people who are just saying, you know what, I'd rather be on my own. I'm kind of liking the freedom that comes with just being a solo act versus being a part of a team. So I think if you are out there searching for a job, number one, look us up. We want you. But it's also focused on, knowing what it is that you really, really want, knowing what I call them your non-negotiables are, right? And holding true to those, and investigating and talking to the company that you're looking at. Skills can be taught. To me, that's never been an issue. You can teach somebody a skill, but attitude and sort of perception and who you are the things that are going to make you different and are going to make you succeed in kind of landing that position. So just being outright with who you are, sharing that unapologetically with hiring managers and HR departments and all of the people that you meet.
Shannon, thank you for the insights and the great conversation. I hope you all enjoyed this episode. We have more on the way, so check them out soon. And please like and subscribe.